Bias in Dane County. Does it exist? The simple answer is yes. In fact, a report released last fall by the Wisconsin Council on Children and Families shows a disparity between black and white residents on just about every quality of life indicator. Here today is Sarah Alvarado. She's the owner of the Alvarado Real Estate Group to talk about how she, as a local businesswoman, mother, and wife, is getting involved in speaking out about racial bias in Dane County. Thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome.
You have been called an advocate for change. What did you think when you first read this report?
I actually saw a presentation about it, and I was mortified. I know that there have been problems, but to see it, the numbers are really horrifying.
And part of this resonates with you because you are in a mixed racial marriage. Your husband is Mexican, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, thinking about your children, you know, how did that bother you on a personal level?
It actually bothered me more as a community level to some extent because what I started doing was learning about white privilege and just looking at my own biases, and my kids are fairly light-skinned, and how do I have conversations with them so that they understand where they stand in the world and how they can be ally. I'd never even thought about it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it came out around how am I raising my kids, how was I raised, and what are my own biases.
And so it sounds like you're having these internal conversations. How hard is that to reevaluate your own perspective and something maybe you thought you always had, and then you're checking yourself?
Right. Well, the YWCA Racial Justice Summit helped a lot because it's more along the lines of not to feel bad when I do notice a bias or a stereotype that comes up, and to just be able to know that noticing it helps shift it, and then that shift is what can create conversations and change, and that I'm not a bad person because I think something. We all have thoughts, but how can we change them? And that's hard work to admit it. So it's the inner conversation first that's hard, and then you're more comfortable having the conversations with other people, which leads to change.
And so what would you like to see the community do to bring about change?
The community, there's no easy answer. I feel like if it were easy, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And part of the thing to note is, for a lot of people, this is old news. This is not alarming, but to a lot of people in the community, this is like, we need the urgency. Mm-hmm. So the urgency is important, and how do you combine urgency with patience? Because we need to work together and learn how to work together.
And I still think, even though we may know it, we still pride ourselves on living in this place where we are so accepting, and we really embrace differences, or so we think. And so I think that's what was surprising to me is I kind of go, oh, I live in Madison, and I tell my family who lives out of state, and you're proud of some of those things that you attribute to your community.
So let's just be real. I mean, we can still love Madison because we know that Madison is motivated to change. So let's love the positive and to focus on the positive, because if we're constantly looking at how bad it is, then all of the good work that is being done, where does that get us?
Yeah, and there is a lot of good work being done.
There is.
Sarah, thanks so much. We appreciate it. I want to let you know the June issue of Bravo magazine mailed out today. There it is. Look for it in your mailbox tomorrow, and there is an in-depth article on Sarah and her motivation for change. So I encourage you to check it out. If you would like to read this racial disparity report titled Race to Equity, it is online in a PDF form. I've put a link. Just go to NBC15.com and click on news links. Thanks again. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with your weekend forecast.